Hey everyone, so today we're going to be looking at this MacBook Air, and this one actually does have a liquid spill. This is a really interesting one because it is the M1 MacBook Air. This is the A2337. We do have a liquid spill for it, and we're just going to be taking a look at it and see really what the issue is. So let's just get right into it right now. All right, guys. So if you haven't noticed already, we haven't done something yet that we probably should have done. And you notice it looks like it's missing from this whole entire heap that we have here. And that's, you don't see that there's any fan. There's no fan at all. This one's really special because it's the MacBook M1 Air. The Air, which is funny because it's called Air, but it doesn't have a fan. But maybe that's the whole point. Maybe it cools itself through air. I'm not sure. But you can see this is the main board here, and there is no fan that actually does go in the between here. The Pro version does have a fan. If you want to go check out the Pro, we actually do have some videos on repairing the Pro. You'll actually see how it looks under here, under the camera, and we also have some microscope shots too. But so I'm really curious to see, and especially that you might see there's a little bit of marks here. Hopefully it's just not from my greasy fingers. Don't worry, we have gloves, so we're all good now. But we're going to go see if there's any liquid or anything underneath this area, and we're going to go look at it better under the microscope. So we're hoping that we don't see anything here because it does turn on and it's going on an external, but we always want to make sure that we don't see any other damage. And hey, it's just fun. We want to actually see what Apple really did here. So let's go ahead and just remove this heatsink and see what we actually do get under here. It's really interesting that they didn't put this fan here. And because it is a mobile processor in its own type of way, it's an ARM chip, which we want to call the mobile processors. But since an ARM chip, it's just like it's the one on your phone and the one in the tablet of the M1 is not the phone, but just like in your type of phone, just like how it cools in your phone, how there's no actual fan in the phone itself. Unless you get those gaming phones, they do have some fans, but that helps the cooling. This one is passively cooled. So because it's so low wattage, it doesn't have as much heat that dissipates, and it doesn't need as much cooling, but it's really interesting. So you're actually looking at this with me the first time because I never removed this before. You get a little spooky smiley face if you want to put those little two eyes and there's a big mouth. You can do that. And this is the same thing. I don't know if you want to draw like an emoji there. I don't know. But this is how it looks. This is the heatsink for it. And you can see this is it. This is what's cooling your MacBook when you are rendering your 4K videos. And this is what it's going to be doing. So this is the main thing. So let's see if we can, this is as far as we can go from here. And we want to just examine the rest of the board because this is open. And we want to see if there's anything else that we do notice. So let's go ahead and at least take a look under the microscope from now. So what we're going to be doing right now is just examining the board here, see if we notice anything crazy underneath the microscope. Look, a nice little Apple logo there. So for these chips, these ones don't actually come with the T2 chip. They are, as I was corrected in our last video by one of our commenters, which I really do appreciate that, is that there's already a security chip that's built into the processor itself, especially these are ARM processors, so they can do a little bit more with them. That's actually built in, so you don't see any T2 chip here, even though they have the Apple logos. It's hard to say exactly without schematic which ones these are, but I know we're getting a little fascinated just looking at it because look at that shiny logo. It's really nice. Always have to marvel, man. It's cool stuff that we do. You can see there's Apple logo right under here too. It's a little bit messy. What we'll want to do too is put some new thermal paste. And it's interesting. You can see that this has just a little bit of strips on each one, and that is probably some type of cooling that doesn't need to be there as well. If it's there, it's there. We could bring over the heatsink here. We could see this is where it goes. Like it's not Halloween yet, but it was a pretty scary face. Kind of looks like a bear or something. I don't know. Anyways, let's just keep looking and see if we can find anything. Looks pretty clean from here. Connectors look really clean. See a little bit over here on these components. Scrape. This doesn't seem like anything, but let's take a look because it's a little bit dirty in that section. Right, we want to make sure. But it is turning on. We don't want to go too crazy with it, but unless we see something actually here. Oh, yeah, I'm just going crazy. This does look a little bit dirty though, this one. Just a little bit worrisome though. Just spray a little bit of alcohol here just to be a little bit safe. It's this area too. Be nice. All right, we're going to the back now. It's the Texas Instruments. You can see a nice little Texas logo there too. All right, everything else looks pretty good. Let's see this part. So yeah, that's fine. That's okay. That's the one I just sprayed alcohol, but it's totally fine. Nothing wrong there. It's pretty clean. See a little bit on that trace there too. Yeah. Okay. Looks pretty good. So it looks like we're mainly just doing replacements here. We're not really doing anything else. The major thing is obviously the screen. So let's just go ahead. We will go and replace the screen, and we'll also replace the trackpad. Oh, actually, one more thing. All right, actually, let's show you, before we go, let's actually show you guys the damage to this one. What it looks like on a microscope. Ooh, look how nasty that is. Ooh. Man. You could have asked for a better damage there, huh? You could see that the complete bottom of it is the complete bottom here is totally gone. You can see even the color shift, everything. It's just totally burnt, totally gone. There's a little bit too much damage here to be really repairable. I mean, you can try and make an attempt if you want, but it's better just to get another one of these. Especially you're worried about all these components. It's not just that there's a trackpad cable going in here. Is that the fact is there is lots of components that go around here. You can see a lot of different things going on here. So even if you do an attempt to fix, unless there was no part or the part was more difficult to find. I haven't done anything to this, so you can see how all the damage, you can see all the little components here. All right, guys, so what we're going to do now is just go ahead and replace all these parts. Looks like that's really all what we have to do. We did see that the board looks pretty good. It's pretty healthy. And let's go ahead and just replace all the parts that we need to. All right, so let's do the trackpad first. Might as well just do that. Since the screen's there, there's always a possibility you don't want to scratch the screen. So let's just put it in, and got my replacement one. There's nothing really much to it. So I mean, we already took the old one out, and we're just gonna put the new one in. You can kind of go from the bottom here. Usually want to put cable in. The cable goes through like this way, right? Yeah, I think that's fine. And you can kind of hold it up. Oops. All right, so we kind of want to hold it up a little bit so we can put some pressure when we put our screws back on. All right, I'm gonna make sure it's level. It looks good, right? Looks in. It's never hard to remove these trackpads. You don't have to really do much. Just a bunch of screws to go around. Just tighten do a little torque for each one. Make sure they're all like tightened and good. There's always a potential. You can put a towel under a screen, obviously, but it's just another precaution. Might as well just make it a little bit easier for yourself. So there's a few of these cables here. Might as well plug all these cables in now. We already checked them too. There's no damage on these cables, which is another thing which would be pretty scary if there was more damage on this, because it costs everybody some more money. So we don't like that, because you probably would need the keyboard. Looks like for this one, looks like you probably need to get a palm rest because just the way it's structured. And I don't know if they have palm rests for these yet. I mean, we'll definitely do that video too if we ever get a palm rest. But yeah, subscribe for that if we ever get those in. We see a keyboard. Maybe we could actually do the keyboard or attempt to do it. Might be kind of fun, huh? The keyboard on the M1 Air, or even the regular M1s would be kind of cool too. Put these flaps so close. Yeah, usually these cables get impacted a lot by liquid a lot of times. They're very thin, it's very easy, especially when the connection's on. And if you're using it while the connection is active, obviously it can corrode, because how is it connecting? It's using power to connect. There we go. And if that touches the liquid when you're using it, well, then you're gonna have bigger problems. All right, so this is good for now. We put on the trackpad. Looks all the cables look good. Get to double check it because we don't want to go back to it again or worry about it. But I think we're pretty good. All right, so let's remove the LCD. If you watched our other video, we already did this already. You can go check out how to actually remove it, or you can skip and then watch this. You can skip that part and then we'll go watch that video, which is fine too. We do have one there about removing the screen. We actually had like a really bent one, like a real bent screen. So it was actually kind of cool to see it. Not for the customer, but it's kind of cool just the repair because it's really bent. I forgot why or how or why it was like that, but if you even check the thumbnail, it's crazy. He came in with that laptop that way. Go ahead if you want to put that thumbnail. There's like a bent one on her. It's like a M1 MacBook Pro. You can go ahead and put like the picture of the thumbnail. That'll actually be pretty cool for people to check out and promote that video. It's not too old from this video, so it's like a bent one. You can see I have like I'm facing it towards the camera, so it's pretty obvious. But yeah, so I mean, this one's just like it. The screen, and we're just replacing it, so it's gonna be just like it. And I'm not sure if that one was the Pro or the Air, but we have both videos of each screen, so you can go ahead and check that out, or you can just keep watching this one because it's the same thing, just moving. Because I can't get my fingernail. There we go. Uses my new fingernail will be this thing. But this is the Wi-Fi antenna, if you didn't already know that, and that's what we're moving. Because the only way you can get to the screen is to remove this. Oh man, it's usually not that difficult to remove. There we go. That was a little bit sticky. Oh, I guess there's some adhesion here. I don't remember that from the other ones we did. This does look like it's actually on purposely adhesive, but because this usually goes in, there's usually a piece of metal here. This is actually a piece of plastic, but this usually goes in down under. But maybe that's why it's there, because it needs to be adhesed. I guess we can straighten out with the adhesive and put it back. You can reuse this. This should be fine because this isn't doing a whole lot. It's just holding that little piece in, but it's already screwed in anyway. It's just an extra layer. Do it. I might start wearing gloves in my videos more. You guys probably hate me when I don't do it. You can look at my great fingers and everything else. You're gonna miss that, but I don't know. I think I'll start wearing gloves. My hands get a little greasy too. Like I don't want to mess up the screens, and I don't know. You guys might not like that, but I like it because I can use my fingernails to get under these things. It makes it a little bit easier. All right, so this just come up. Shouldn't be anything really holding it. There we go. This is the old nasty one. You kind of see even here, right? You can kind of tell that the liquid was there pretty intense on the bottom there. Yeah, you see it's pretty bad. So, all right, let's just put in another one. All right, so just put it in. I mean, nothing really important there. I just have to put these on the right way. It's hard to do that on camera. So it's not a lot of screws. This one isn't actually that difficult. I mean, when you're moving the board, obviously, it's like, it looks like it's a bit more work, but it's really just a few screws, really. And then there's like, you're not actually removing the glass and having the fun time with that. I mean, we could do that if you guys want to in a video. We can see if you want us to try to remove, or if you just want to see us remove the glass of the actual screen. I know they're a little bit harder to find the actual LCD itself. Usually when you get to that point, though, the labor involved with it really isn't worth the time. So we don't do this too often. You just see a lot of the screen replacements. We'll just do the whole entire frame of the LCD with the back cover, everything. But it's just the work, and it's like it's adhesed, and it's easy to damage. But obviously you're taking off a bad one. But yeah, it's not a whole big difference. If you're doing massive quantities, yeah, I mean that makes sense because you want to make every penny you can. But we're not. We're just doing a few of them, especially for videos. And this is, oh yeah, so this is here. So I'm not sure why the adhesive is. So this is usually where this goes, this little metal piece on the bottom. I'm not touching this, I'm touching the bottom one. That usually goes like up and under, and it's important to get that right, because if you don't get that right, then it won't hold perfect. So make sure this is more like in, going like down like that way. I think that'll make it better. It's kind of solid right now, it's not really moving, so it's pretty good. All right, and we'll also put these screws in, and then what we'll do is we'll double check it, because if you watch any of our other ones, I do talk about how sometimes it can creak if you don't put it on perfectly, because it's rubbing against the side there. There we go. All right, so let's see if it creaks or anything. You see, it's a nice bend. There's no creak or anything like that. It's because it's the this bar's been put in right. That's all. So if you ever do it, or if a shop ever does it for you, and you hear that creak, that's what it is. So that bar isn't put in completely correct. We had someone with a bent frame before they actually come in, and it's hard to see that bent frame. It was just a little bit dented on the side, on the edge there, and we did it for them. But because it was dented, you had to get the whole frame. So we did put a little, we did a little, our little arts and crafts to try to fix that, so it wouldn't rub against it, because they didn't want to do a replacement for the actual piece there, the whole entire frame, because it's a frame. If the frame's a little bit dented and you have this is completely perfect, and if it's a little bit imperfect, it can rub, especially if you have if you ever have like a dropped iPad or anything else like that. Sometimes the edges can get dented and they can get bent, and the screen won't totally go flat when you put it on there. So you always have like an edge sticking out, and that's very easy to damage the screen again. It's kind of the same thing with these two, because if this is going to be rubbing along the side here, if this keeps rubbing against it, it's very easy to damage that screen. Maybe not just, you're most likely going to get a crack, because it's very easy to damage all of these screens because they're just the way they're made. But you're going to get even more if you have a frame dent, because a lot of people don't really think about that. Even when you're at shops, you don't really think about it until you see it, and then you realize, oh, it's a little bit different, and the customer doesn't gonna not only need a screen, but they're also gonna need a frame, because the frame is just a little bit off, and sometimes they can't even tell. When you come in, it's hard to tell, but until you do like a diagnosis and stuff, it's hard to believe in that other video we did with the screen that how dent that thing was, that it didn't really need a actual frame replacement. That's amazing. That one blows my mind. I can't believe that. But I think this is good. I think we're pretty good guys here. So let's just focus on putting everything else back, because I think we're actually good with the screen. We'll put the board in. The board's all nice. Done. Looks very clean. So we're very, very optimistic that this is going to go pretty perfectly. I do know it's not the most exciting video, because we're not really doing any soldering or anything like that, but we took a look, and we want to make sure that that's the case. We always want to inspect everything, and we hope that if there is damage anyway, that that we will fix it, and if we hope that there's not extra damage to it, and it's just very simple things, because just there's a much higher chance for repair, especially when something isn't impacted as bad as something like that. And this one's weird. I always forget, because this is where usually the older errors, it's like the battery connections here. This one actually has a bar, so it's actually kind of cool. Well, I'm forgetting something, am I, guys? See, you guys didn't tell me. I forgot to put my LCD cable back. You want to do that. So it's this, like this. It's a detachable, which is actually really great, because especially if there's liquid there, you're not held to like a screen if like the cable was attached to the screen. This is actually a really good thing that they do, is they make the screen cable modular. Okay, so that's how it's supposed to look. Man, you guys almost let me put it on there. And I would have to do it all over again, because once this is in, that's it, You have to redo the whole thing. Oh, you know what? I forgot one more thing, because there's another bottom cable actually on this side. So, man, not even once, but twice. This is what these things are, There's a cable here. Yeah, that's right. This one goes under here. Because we removed it to, what was it? This? Oh, this way. So we removed it to check it out. Usually you don't just remove all these cables, but since in a liquid spill, you always want to remove all the cables and like check everything, because there could be a micro splash, and then you have like one pin or one trace is gone on the cable, and it's like throwing you off, and you don't know what happened, and it's like, oh. But okay, so that's it now. Now we're looking good. All right, guys, I think this is looking good, and I don't think there's anything else, because yes, there's no more cables underneath. Okay, so all right, so that's lays flat. So I like the main screw to go in first, because it looks like it's supposed to go in first. It's this big one here, and it always goes in the center. All right, let's just test it to make sure it all looks pretty good. I don't like this. This doesn't look great. Let's see. Okay, let's at least just test it, make sure. All right, so everything should be working fine now. Let's get this up. Probably have to plug in a cable. 20 volts. All right. There's the Apple logo. All right. All right. I guess here's fine. So, okay, so we're able to log in. Of course, I didn't want to show you his account name or anything like that. We're able to log in, and the mouse does work. Now we really want to test to see if the keyboard's totally fine too. But usually if one works and the other one doesn't, that's usually just how it works. So let's try a new document. See, we are typing. We're getting a good keyboard response there. That keyboard actually feels a lot better than the other keyboards. Even the 2020, the non-M1s, this one just feels better. Maybe because I have gloves on or something. I don't know. It just feels a lot better to work with. Okay, so that looks pretty good. It looks like we did a pretty successful repair there. I think we're good. All right, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video on how to repair this specific case of a liquid spill on the M1 A2337 MacBook Air. This one, we didn't have to do any component level repair, which is good for the customer. The board's very clean, which is fantastic. We did examine it. We replaced the trackpad cable, as well as the LCD. And it's a good repair. It looks to be pretty good. If you guys are interested, please subscribe for more M1 content. We do get a lot of M1s in, especially more recently, because they're starting to become more for repair, especially they're not waterproof or anything. They're just a magical Apple chip that's in there. But it is a really cool device. It's very new. If you have any questions, you can always, we have all of our contact information located in the description below. Go ahead, check that out. Please leave a like if you did find this video informative and enjoyable to watch. Subscribe for more content. We will get more M1 MacBook Airs and MacBook Pros, and it'll be really cool to see when maybe the iMac one ever comes in. Go ahead, stay tuned and subscribe for that. So hope you guys enjoyed watching. Bye.